What up, everybody? YouTube Live. This is yours truly, Rama Screen, covering movies, TV, and entertainment. I'm back, and I'll be discussing a topic that's not as probably not as what's the word I'm looking for here? Jaw dropping as the casting of Halle Bailey as Ariel in Disney's live action The Little Mermaid movie. So, so I already shared with you my thoughts about that in the other video. So you can watch that video here on Ramashkin YouTube channel. This one is not as sensational. This topic, only some of you probably gonna be interested in it, but most of you probably will not be interested in it, and that's fine. But what's funny is that I am planning to binge watch Stranger Things season 3 tonight at midnight, and then I'll be giving you guys my review, spoiler filled review. Since by then everybody will already have watched the season, so I'll be giving the spoiler review tomorrow morning. Um, but lo and behold, this topic right now is Stranger Things related, believe it or not. And how is that? Well, as the title suggests, anti-tobacco group forces Netflix to cut back on cigarette smoking depictions on its shows because of Stranger Things. So let me read to you off of the report here off of Variety. Um, and I quote: Depictions of tobacco in the most popular TV shows among young people surged nearly fourfold in the past year, and Netflix's Stranger Things Season 2 was the worst offender, according to a new report from anti smoking group Truth Initiative. In response, Netflix said that going forward, all new shows it commissions with ratings of TV 14 or below, and all movies rated PG 13 or below will exclude smoking and e-cigarette use except for reasons of historical or factual accuracy. The streamer also said new projects with higher ratings will not depict smoking or e-cigarette use unless it's essential to the creative vision of the artists or because it's character defining, historically or culturally important. Netflix also released a statement saying Netflix strongly supports artistic expressions. We also recognize that smoking is harmful and, when portrayed positively on screen, can adversely influence young people. Okay, so I have a lot of thoughts about this, but let me give you just like bam, um, my overall reaction, and that is mixed bag. Mixed bag. I have mixed bag feelings about this. Not like all pro, not all contra. It's mixed bag. So let me just say that I am a big supporter of marijuana. Marijuana is healthy, and I'm glad that we're living in the day and age when um, more and more people and more states are becoming more well informed and well educated about the benefits of marijuana. Um, it's not like the oh my god, marijuana is gonna cause death, or oh my god, he's gonna be schizophrenic because of marijuana. So the stigma, the demonization of marijuana is slowly and surely being lifted off. Um, and I'm aware of the danger of cigarette smoking. I'm not gonna get into my experience about that, but it is what has been found by science. Not only is it addictive, but it can cause cancer, and that's just a fact. Um, so on one hand, I do appreciate groups like um, Truth Initiative for pushing this agenda and educate young folks about the dangers of cigarette smoking. And I think Truth. I don't know if it's Truth Initiative, but there's a lot of anti-tobacco groups and anti-tobacco campaigns that fought hard over the years in past decades ago, that made it possible. Their hard work made it possible for laws to be passed regarding or requiring labels to be put on the cigarettes, laws saying, hey, there's we can't have commercials, to Marlboro commercials anymore, like back in the day, where it looks all macho and whatnot, right? Like, oh, cowboy, out in the wild wild west smokes, so you have to smoke too. um, and of course, no smoking also in public places. I think in California it started in 1995, I believe. Of course, I wasn't here. I immigrated here in 1999, but I read, I googled. So I also watched Pulp Fiction. That's 1994 movie, and if you remember, Jules and Vincent in that diner, along with I think Tim Roth's character, um, what's his name, Pumpkin, Ringo. They smoke. They openly smoke inside a restaurant. That's 1994. But after that, boom, none of that depiction anymore. So times change, and I totally get it, right? Like if Pulp Fiction was made in 1996 on, or maybe 1998 or whatnot, or 2000, um, Jules and Vincent wouldn't be able to smoke in that diner, and to have them smoke, it would be not accurate. Um, so I appreciate groups like Truth Initiative for trying to make, uh, I guess you could say, better use of tomorrow, even though that sounds so cultish. But here's the thing: what you need to understand is that I came from a country called Indonesia, where the laws on cigarette smoking restrictions are very lax. They're very lenient over there, and I kid you not. Even when I was middle school, like grade 6 through 8, my classmates were already smoking. After school, they went to the nearest tobacco place or tobacco shop, um, and they'll buy a pack. And of course, the seller will be like, "Yeah, here you go," because there's no restriction. Kids can smoke in my country, in Indonesia, in my homeland, I should say, because I'm a citizen now of USA. In my homeland, Indonesia, it's so. It's like, I, you can't help but think like, wow, they start so early. That thing fills up their lungs so early. When our lungs are still developing in the middle school, man, and they're already smoking. And tobacco companies are so powerful in poor countries, and developing countries, so much so that I kid you not, and you can probably watch that John Oliver segment on the last week Tonight Show. He did this segment, and this is truth. Tobacco companies have sued and will file lawsuit against developing countries that are starting to create their own cigarette smoking restrictions laws. So, and it's maddening. It's so like, wow, corporations can sue a country. That's how crazy the world is, man. So, but back to this. Back to the matters at hand. I would love it if people start moving away from cigarette smoking and to something that's actually beneficial. Um, so on that front, I'm not against Truth Initiative at all, and or any other anti-tobacco group. Um, that said, smoking depictions and the fact that the Truth Initiative group was going after specifically Stranger Things, that's when I have mixed bags about that. Okay, so Stranger Things season 2, they said was the worst offender. I get it, because there were scenes when David Harbour's character, what's his name? Police Chief Hopper, Jim Hopper, and you can find it on Netflix or on YouTube or any images. Google it. Yes, there are scenes in season 2 in which he literally smokes in front of those kids. Because the lead stars are those kids. They're in their teens now, and anti-tobacco groups like Truth Initiative, that's a big no-no. They're like, whoa, abomination, you can't smoke in front of kids, how dare you. And you know what, I would not want anybody smoking cigarettes in front of my kids if I had kids someday. And if I was a smoker, I would not want to smoke in front of a kid. So totally get it. But Stranger Things, if you've watched this show, I don't know, man. Yeah, I get it. It's TV 14, but it's not what's the word? It's not CW dramas, It's not Jag or whatever. It's not your usual. It's not Seventh Heaven. It's not your usual family kind of lighthearted. No, Stranger Things, man. A lot of dark shit happens on this show. I don't know. I guess my argument is like, why can't you just kind of like be a little lenient on this rule, on this one particular rule? Now, uh, it's funny how on this case, I am not, outraged about a black actress playing Ariel in The Little Mermaid, but I'm a little kind of like, it rubs me a little wrong that Hopper, from this point forward, can now no longer smoke or be seen smoking. Um, I don't know. I just feel like, as a liberal, I'm speaking as a liberal here. I don't want to get too political, but sometimes liberals take it too far, man. I'm a huge fan of defending animal rights. You know, like you got to free Shamu. I'm all for that. Um, don't cage those fish, and have them perform like circus, tricks or whatnot. I'm all for that. But when you start to demonize or yell at people like for eating KFC, it's like you're like, oh, you saying you don't you know that's live chicken before? It's like that's when you lose me. That's when you lose me. Sometimes we liberals can go a little bit too far, man. Sometimes we liberals can take it to the extremes. And so something like smoking on Stranger Things, Truth Initiative forcing Netflix to curb Hopper smoking on this show. I don't know, man. I'm a little iffy. Right? I'm not sold on that yet. All right, because I'm still not over the fact that even John Constantine is not allowed to smoke on screen. Okay, John Constantine, if you have been living under the rock, is this DC character played by Matt Ryan, and he used to have his own show, but it got canceled because of low ratings. And now he's on the CW, part of DC's Legends of Tomorrow. Sometimes he would also cross over to the other CW shows. And one of the characteristics of John Constantine is that in the comic books, he's a chain smoker. He smokes cigarettes. But because of the network restrictions, the broadcast network restrictions on smoking, um, they can't show that. And when they do try, it's like a tease to the fans. Like, oh, look at him putting his cigarette on top of his ear, or like, oh, he's about to light up, but then somebody distracts him, and he has to like throw his cigarette away. I was like, ah, enough with the tease, man. Just either you have it or don't. Don't either you show it or you don't show it. Don't be like, look lad, look at that, he almost smokes. See, you see like the characters, right? You see like the character, right? You still like John Constantine, right? Come on, love him, love him. We almost give you his smoking. So I'm still trying to get over that fact, and now Hopper cannot be allowed to smoke. I don't know, man. I just feel like, and I'm glad that I'm glad that the Netflix in his statement says will exclude smoking and vaping for TV 14 and PG 13 below, um, except they said except for historical accuracy and factual accuracies. Okay, that's fine. I guess that means, or that applies to biopics. Probably, for example, like that Netflix Ted Bundy movie with Zac Efron. Um, what's it called again? Um, Vile, vulgar, something. So maybe that one is like, all right, you can have smoking on that one, but not Stranger Things. But if you think about it, again, Stranger Things, the tone is heavy drama. It's not your feel good family kind of, your usual family drama that you watch on CBS. It's heavy drama, right? It's a lot of dark shit there, mystery, alien stuff as well, other dimension stuff, sci-fi, and it's set in the 80s, in the freaking 80s, man. That's way, way, way before like banning smoking in public places. Um, so I know that not all people smoked in the 80s. All right. I know that. I get that. Um, but the idea of like, oh, in the 80s, it's all, how do you call that? Everybody's self-aware and everybody's healthy. No, in the 80s, it's a lot even more. It was even more. How would you say it? Prevalent. Not just smoking, but everything else. In the 80s. So I don't know. That's why I said it's a mixed bag, because on one hand, I appreciate what anti-tobacco groups like Truth Initiative have done and continue to do, to bring awareness and to educate the youth about the dangers of smoking. That's always important. I'm always gonna support that. But on the other hand, when you take it too far or too much, just like the PETA guys yelling at people for eating their fried chicken, I was like, this is what I that's how I kind of compare that equivalency wise. It's like, oh my god, now Hopper can't even smoke? Really? Really? So before I conclude this video, let me read to you some of the reactions from people or from the fans about this on Twitter. Um, it says here, let's see here. Let's find some of the interesting ones. I don't want to read all of them. Nedra Weinrich said, I've definitely noticed an uptick in smoking on TV. There is evidence that seeing depictions of smoking influences young people's decision making on their own use. All right. All right. To that argument, I say, yeah, young people more than often do get influenced by what they see on the media, especially nowadays with social media. Um, but my counter argument to that is also, hey, if the youth want cigarette, they're gonna find a way to get it. Just like they'll find a way to get a fake ID and buy alcohol from the liquor store. So are we gonna curb alcohol use on Netflix? Alcohol depictions on Netflix. Are we gonna do that too? Because alcohol causes uh, cirrhosis, liver, and alcohol causes a lot of drunk driving and crashes. So if they want to smoke or if they want to drink, they're gonna find a way to 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 get their hands on cigarettes or alcohols. Um, Movies and TV be damned. Even if they don't see it on movies and TVs, they'll find a way. They'll have their curiosity, or maybe they see their parents or their grandpa smoking the. It doesn't have to be from a TV show. All right. So Faye Lily says, finally, thank you, Netflix. This has been bothering me, especially in Stranger Things, where it's almost constant and in the presence of children. Not everyone smoked in the 80s, and there are more responsible ways of depicting it for those who did. Okay, I find that to be a reasonable argument. Um, Still not fully agreeing to what her argument is, but she says it very eloquently, articulately. Troy Brownfield says, "This is fucking ridiculous. I'm not a smoker, but holy shit, smoking in an 80s setting is accurate. The student union of my college did not ban smoking in the food court until 1992. My dorm had smoking floors. I remember when you can smoke on planes. This is absurd." Yeah, Stranger Things is set in the 80s. And again, this is not feel good family CBS primetime stuff. Stranger Things is heavy drama, some dark shit happening in there. And it in the 80s, if because the ban of smoking in public places happens in mid 90s. Imagine how wild it was in the 80s for cigarette smoking. JT in Texas, if smoking presented for historical accuracy, then it should not be cut. Instead, add a message to the beginning of the episode stating that smoking is bad, drugs are bad, but there are whole shows whose existence depends on it being shown. Crap like this, cutting back on tobacco depiction, is stupid. I'm inclined to agree with that. Crispy says Stranger Things. It makes sense as an 80s depictions. As an 80s depiction. I'm sorry. Russian Doll. Russian Doll. Another Netflix show. In Russian Doll, many characters were smoking cigarettes and indoors, no less. I haven't seen someone smoke a cigarette indoors at a party since 1996. Plus, it's a continuity nightmare and largely unnecessary. Um, okay, so those are some of the comments on Twitter. I don't want to read all of them. It's going to take all day. But again, back to my thought, it's a mixed bag. All right. On one hand, um, it will be a better tomorrow if less and less of our youth are inclined to smoke cigarette, um, and maybe they could find their outlet to relieve their stress elsewhere. I know that because a lot of my friends work at retail stores, and during breaks they would smoke, just like people who work at fast food. It's a stressful job. You get paid shit, and so that hour, lunch hour, when they can just smoke, or that break, that's their only time they can relieve their stress. And I'm not judging that. If they want to do that, that's their prerogative. All right, that's their choice. Um, so did I say prerogative? Prerogative, prerogative. But at the same time, it is bad for your health. And I am concerned that each time that my friend takes a break from their work to take smoking cigarette, even though that's their prerogative, not prerogative. Um, you just know that the content of that cigarette is eating at them slowly but surely. Um, but at the same time, I'm a big fan of freedom of choice, freedom of expressions, freedom of art. So back to, on the other hand, depictions of smoking on shows like Netflix and characters like John Constantine. It's so it pains me whenever John Constantine can't smoke, or whenever Jim Hopper is not allowed to smoke. It's just like, but that's their character, though, you know, and that's their setting in the '80s. It's just it takes you out of that feeling when you watch it and they're not doing it. It's like something's off here because the characters are not what they're supposed to be. So yeah, that's the on the other hand argument that I have, and that's why it's a mixed bag. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about this decision by Netflix to curb or cut back on or cut down on cigarette smoking depictions on its shows, especially TV 14 or PG-13 rating and below? Um, do you think it's a dumb decision, or do you think, oh my God, it's about time, hooray? If you think that, why? Why do you think this is a good thing? Um, Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And as always, subscribe to my channel, press that like button, ring that bell. And if you can help support this channel, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. That's patreon.com/ramascreen. Let's rock this.